record, but we have a few minutes to record now, so we just really want to take the time to say hello and talk to you about some burning situations that's been coming up, whether it's personally in our lives or in the lives of our friends amongst us. So, all right, what are we going to be talking about today?
Well, first of all, you said we just haven't had a lot of time. I mean, why haven't we had any time? I mean, probably the last video we did, we told you guys that we were having a baby.
Yeah.
And she's doing well. She is a little over a year now, so just wanted to update you guys on that.
Yeah, oh, cute little baby girl. So, here she is. Black love. This has been one of the topics just kind of all over, from Ready to Love, you see on OWN, Put a Ring on It. There's a Black Love series that's online. There's a whole bunch of couples that have their online videos. Some that came out before us, most of them kind of came out after us. And one of the burning topics specifically about Black love is, how do you know if the person that you're dating is the one? Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? So from a man's perspective, how did you know that I was the one? Or did you ever come to that?
Well, I would push back on the idea of there being a one. I mean, I think that God created a world with billions of people, certainly at this point in time. So I don't think that it's about there being a one, but I do think there are sets of character traits, personalities that mesh well together. And then sometimes, I mean, maybe they don't mesh well on paper, but sometimes you're attracted to people, and I'm sure you've all experienced chemistry with someone who on paper you may say, well, this is a person that I typically wouldn't get along with, but and certainly from a Christian perspective, I mean, what you can experience with a person who maybe doesn't seem like your type, but when each of you are on the same page with the Holy Spirit, you can find a very fulfilling relationship and a long-lasting, eternal relationship. For me, when we were dating, we were going kind of back and forth between being together and being broken up. And that was kind of something that happened when I was young. I mean, you have a lot of options presented to you, a lot of situations.
Options.
Well, I mean, this isn't about that, but you do get to a point where you see there's a difference between when you're not with this person and when you are with this person, and there's a difference between how people respond to you as far as when you guys are not together. Sometimes you have friends who are like, oh, you're tripping, you're this, you're that. I mean, I remember my mother telling me that she knew I was in love with her, and it wasn't necessarily a realization that I had come to myself, but when you have certain people in your life, sometimes they can show you what maybe you're missing yourself. So yeah, I mean, it was a lot of things that came together to let me know that this was the right situation to be in.
Okay. Cool, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's good to know. No, I mean, I feel like at first, and I would say as a woman growing up, we're led to believe that there is this like one individual person. We have to find this one person. So it's like this mission, this search for this particular person. And I think that's why when we're in relationships and the relationships don't work out and we think that that person is the one, that we keep going back to that unhealthy relationship, because this is it for us. We've been taught that once we find someone and we've been with this person for a year or two, that this is it for us, and we just have to keep trying to find ways to make the relationship work despite all the unhealthy characteristics of the relationship, or all the red or yellow flags that are popping up and showing us that this relationship is not for us. I think now that as I'm older, and maybe a couple years before we kind of got married, I realized that I don't know who it is for me exactly. I don't know if there is a one for me, but I specifically prayed about our relationship. And I actually commented on someone's Instagram page today, like early this morning, and the comment said something about, and I'll post it right here, it says something about like, when doors close, you know, kind of don't walk back through them and recognize a closed door when you see it. And for me, the kind of person that I am, I don't know if it's a therapist in me or what it is, but I'm always trying to find a way to make a way out of no way, out of situations. I'm just like, I try to do my best to make sure I set my best foot forward, so that when I walk away from a situation, I will feel comfortable knowing that I did everything that I could, so that once I walk away, it's done. And I know, and I can interact with the person, and I can see them, I can talk to them about themselves, their lives, and their success without feeling like I'm missing out on something. And I think for me, when I met you and us going kind of all through our kind of back and forth relationship, I too realized that through prayer that you were the person that God intended for me to be with. And I feel like even throughout the course of our relationship, when things happen, I'm like, oh, Lord, you put me with this man. And then I'm always reminded that it's for a specific reason. And there are lots of things that I learned from you, and there's a lot of things that I receive from you that make me a better person. And so I'm thankful for you and for a lot of the things that I've learned through being with you. And I don't know if these are things that I would have learned from someone else.
Well, I mean, what does the idea of the one even mean? I mean, I think that that's the whole concept of that is just like a fantasy. I mean, because what happens if you are face to face with the one and you just miss them for some, you know, superficial reason, or timing is wrong and you never see them again? I mean, I can't imagine that God is that limited that it's like, well, they missed their chance, so they'll forever be searching after this one. I mean, what happens if you're with the one? Like, what is the idea behind it? And I think that's something that's, like I say, it's a fairy tale, and I think it's not.
That's the issue though. It's a fairy tale, and I think it affects the way that we perceive relationships moving forward, especially women.
Well, I think it's damaging to relationships though. I mean, because even if you're with this alleged one, it's still going to be hard.
Yeah.
Marriage, I mean, relationships, marriage are hard no matter who you're with. I mean, if you were with somebody and the situation ended, or you were married and you got divorced, does that mean that wasn't the one? Or does it mean you didn't work hard enough? Or
it could mean both.
Or you let it go too easily. I mean, even if you're with the one, like I said, it's still going to be hard. If you're not with the one and it's hard, or you find yourself in a relationship that's difficult, are you going to say, well, I should have married the one? I mean, what is the one? I mean, unless your situation has, you know, violence in it, there's a ton of like infidelity, there's lying, your children are being abused or whatever. I mean, what makes the situation or the person not the one?
I mean, I guess that's a good question. I think the one and what makes a relationship not the one for some people is really based on your individual standards that you have in a relationship, even if it's a friendship, honestly. But since we're talking about Black love, let's limit it to just relationships. And this is why I think it's important to make sure that you set boundaries in relationships. You have to know how you feel and what you truly desire, and what you truly want in order for you to permit yourself to be in a relationship where there are things that may not be perfect, things that may go wrong, but there's a line that once crossed, there are some repercussions, and that could mean maybe not being in a relationship. For me, that would look like, even if the person is someone who I would consider to be the one, in the superficial sense of the one and the definition of the one, like if you were to abuse me whether it's physically abused me or emotionally abused me, for me, and everybody is different. Everybody have their different boundaries. For me, I'm not okay with that. And it's not just because we have a daughter now, and I want to set a good example for her. And I need a space where I can feel comfortable being in existence. And if I can't feel comfortable in my own home, and you make me feel like, less than, I'm going to communicate that to you because maybe it's something that you missed. And so you have an opportunity to correct the situation. And I will consider that being a bad thing that happens in a relationship. But again, something that we can work through. But if it's something that you are continuing to do, and it's something that you're disinterested in fixing, it's not something that I will just accept and be like, okay, well, this is who he is. I'm gonna continue on in this relationship. This is not the same as like you leaving your drawers on the floor or something. Like, I'm not okay with you leaving your drawers on the floor. I'm also not okay with you hitting me. But I might let you leaving your drawers on the floor slide for years and years and years, but not the hitting. You know what I mean? Like, for me, that's a boundary. And that for me would, I don't know, maybe it's an indication that the one is flexible. It's something that moves, it's malleable, it changes over time. I don't know.
Well, yeah, the one probably changes over time as you change as an individual, because we all change over time. I mean, but if you got with somebody for the right reasons, it wasn't like a situation where, I don't know, you were put together because of what your friends think, or your parents arranged your marriage or something. I mean, not necessarily wrong, because in certain cultures that's the way things are done. But I mean, I do think if someone's not the one, you should know from the beginning. If you really spend time getting to know somebody, I think.
But how would you know though?
People breaking up 15 to 20 years in, and then saying, I'm unhappy, or this person's not the one. I can't imagine that was really the case. You guys just stopped working because you both changed over time. But I mean, there's no guarantee that the one changes with you.
That's true.
It's just life that makes us change. It's our experiences that make us change. And sometimes you might even look back and say, well, where I am now, I wouldn't have married this person 15, 20 years before. But that doesn't make them not the one. I mean, at this point, you're in it. Make it work. I mean, like, don't.
But then see, now you're talking about commitment. Now we're talking about commitment. So if you're talking about that, because like you said, people change, and I do strongly believe that over a period of years, people change. And like you say, in a relationship, you can change, and you can change to a point where you no longer work together, right? But then if you don't work together, what's keeping you in a relationship? Why would your marriage last? Should it last? Should you remain in a marriage that no longer fits together just because you have children, or just because you don't believe in divorce, or whatever else? Like,
well, when I say it doesn't work, I mean like you guys just have totally different interests. But to me, that's not a reason to get divorced. I mean, when I say the reason that you should get divorced is because you're getting beat up. There's, you guys are having separate relationships with other people, or all that. I mean, if you guys are just like, man, we're bored, that's not a reason to break up.
okay. So then that's then saying that for the most part, foundationally in your marriage, and in black relationships, black marriages, even in the marriages that I've seen within my family, within our family, it's an issue of having those foundational similarities, right? Because, like you say, there are going to be interests that's going to change over time, but there are foundational things that may not change, and if they do, you may end up changing together.
If it's foundational, I can't imagine foundational things changing. I mean, foundational things, again, are things that you would have rooted out from the beginning at some point. Unless you got married, just like the day after you met, you figure out, okay, well, this. Now, you may say something is a foundational issue, but you say, well, we could work through it, which
Okay.
is, maybe not a great idea, or maybe it is. I mean, I don't know. It depends on who you are, but
And it depends what the foundational thing is.
yeah, I mean, wanting kids or not wanting kids, I guess, is foundational.
I agree.
So that's just an example. But
I think faith, whether you are, practicing Christian or whatever other faith that you may be, and even up to the way that you practice, I think those are foundational things.
But I mean, I think that even if you speak to an older couple, some couple's been together 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, they'll say all the sweet things in the world about each other, how they're so happy and they're so glad that they're together. But they might still argue like an old couple. If you sat down with them, they'd tell you all the rough patches they went through. I mean, is that person the one, or were they not the one, or did they just make it work? Is making it work still a fulfilling and the right way to go about a relationship? I think you'll have to make it work, or you'll have to fight no matter. So
Yeah.
that's my point.
I agree. Let us know your thoughts. Tell us what you think about the one, the definition of it. Have you found the one? What it's like? How you would describe it? How does it make you feel? Any final thoughts before we let them go?
I don't know if she's the one or not, but I think we're just gonna ride this thing out. At this point.
At this point, yeah, I think I'm just gonna let him choose me over and over and over again because I know he still wants to be here. Alright, well, thanks so much for watching our video. Of course, if you like our content, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe so you can always see the new content that's coming out, and we will be back with some more Black love.